One tune I did on that album was called Of the Days of Wonderland. it's a lot like more into the fourth thing. It's more into voicing like chords and fourths and using a lot of fourths and fifths. It comes out sounding more oriental. Messing around with my tone control, I'm trying to get the same sound I get out of my own hand. I can't get it.
What do you do?
I'm just using a music hand. I'm not really that happy with it. I think I get offended. I haven't tried. What's that new app called? Called Boogie Man.
Boogies.
It's called Boogie Man. Okay. I'd like to try that. I hear it's really pretty good. I had a little polytone for a while. One of the small ones. I had that for a while. It was a nice amp. Let's see, when I was going like this, doing that, well, I still use the same thing with harmonics, like 4 and 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, with the harmonic on the bottom of each set of 4, and you're getting, but, and you haven't moved this, so in order to get that, it would be impossible, So that's where the harmonics are really valuable, Even though it may be sort of a drag, when you first start doing it, it feels strange, maybe you don't get a real good sound at first, but it's worth like sticking with it and practicing.
Sticking to it.
Yeah, it's worth it, because after a while it starts coming out and wow, here it is.
The range of everything.
Did you play one more tune?
Yeah.
Make a piece or something?
Yeah, I'll do, a combination. Look, like this is a flamenco tune, and I've mixed it in with like jazz things.
If you got a flamenco practice, I mean,
Stuff like
exactly, yeah.
yeah, you see, well, I look at like playing the bass line on the bottom and playing melody on top. It's just the reverse of what I usually do. Like I usually play a chord on the bottom and play melody on top. I usually play chords on the bottom, like. But if I'm going. Now, like to do that in a spontaneous way, I can't do it. Like some people do it, but I think they work it out. You know, you work out the bass line, and then you play what you can on top of it. And by doing that for maybe a year or two, like you may be able to start to see things, right? You know, where you can actually improvise on the bottom and still play on top. I really can't do it, man. Like a lot of the stuff I do is sort of worked out. Some of it is improvised. I don't think there's any really shortcut there, you know, except taking a straight bass line, you know, when you're going A minor, D7. You know the old standard bass line. And you're going G. I just go. You know. And I usually put the chord on the ands. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1 and 2, 3. On the ands I put the chord. Short. I heard live Ted Green do this tune. Let's see. Let's see. But you got to work it out too. Like you got to sit and work it out a little bit. I find it easier to play chords on the bottom and melody on top because chords you're not always going 1, 2, 3, 4. But like the idea of doing like 1, 2, 3, 4 is repetitive. You know, it repeats 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's constant.
Possibly for a chorus, it would be nice.
Yeah, but I'd like to be able to improvise that. I haven't quite, I'm not there at all.
It's a different thing, I know.
That's hard to do. That's very hard to do. It's a lot easier on piano because you got two hands, because you can really get together with this hand. It's going to look like you can really improvise the left. But to do it on guitar, you almost got to work it out. And that's the way it is with guitar. It's just a harder instrument.
Do you ever play the piano?
I just
Work
miss.
on piano?
Yeah, I work them out, but I don't really play the piano. Like, I can't see it the way I see the neck. I can see the neck. You know, I can see, like, I know where things are on the neck, but I can't see the board. But I work it out as far as voicing sometimes. I'll go
But
to
you
the
come
piano.
up with new voicing
Mhm.
or sounds.
Yeah, I mainly listen to the piano. You know. But I don't have a piano, but when I get near one, I always go to it and mess around with it. I used to listen to just left hand sometimes. I just listened to the left hand and see what was going on with it. And trying to figure out. The first thing I discovered was 2-note chords. You know, like instead of going like A minor 7th to D7th, I would just use the two most important notes in that chord and let the bass player play the roots. I just go and use that for 2-5, 2, 5, and 1. And like instead of playing the whole chord, you usually I just play the 3 and the major 7, and let the bass player play this. So you get. So if you want to play a little lick. So I started in that position first, like say like I'm in G, I would start in this position first, and let the bass player do that. Then what I did, you know, because I ran out of notes here, there's no more notes. You know, there's no more notes, right? So you have to take this up to here and play it on the like D and A string instead of the like G and D. Instead of going, you go up here. Then you get
Yeah,
a lot. You know,
another range.
yeah. Two, 5, 1, and then like 3, 6. If that's here. Sing it. You know. Then you work it up here. Let me see what I do. Then you work it up here. So this is your A minor, and like this is your D7. And then you get a lot of notes. You know. So just take it one step at a time and start here. You know. So when you're playing the blues or something. Like a 2-note chord. C chord could be either here or it could be here. There's your C note on top. But it look like this is a lot of work because like you learn the 2-note chord first and then you learn a scale on top of it. Look like you learn the mode that goes with the chord you want to play. So if it's an A minor, yeah, look like if it's an A minor 7th, that's a Dorian scale. You know. So what I do is, I bring it up there and I play the Dorian scale on top of it. But I probably won't be able to start with an A note because I don't have an A note there. But I start on a note like that fits, say like D, say. D chord. Then I play a Mixolydian D chord. You know, instead of going just slow with this one. And so I learned that on top of it. Hold the chord down, and you see what your possibilities are. And then the G major 7th, and the bass player plays that, which is the same as that one, right? And then you play your G scale. So that's the kind of thing you have to go through in positions. Yeah, like you have to set and work out your scale against those little 2-note chords. Till after a while, like, you know the positions of them. So if you want to let the chord ring, or like cut it short, right, you make them short or long. Now that's the question of independence, right? So like, you also have to get into just independence of the right hand. Look like the right hand has to be independent of the go. See what I'm doing on man, like on top is just playing like straight time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But I'm going 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3. So it's usually the and or the 1. So once you look like you think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, well, either that bottom chord is going to be on the 1 or it's going to be on the end. You know.
Can I ask you something about diminished chords? I don't use the symmetrical diminished scale only because most of the kind of music I play, passing diminished chord like C sharp diminished to a D minor or something, I could use the harmonic minor. A symmetrical diminished scale, I'd use a harmonic minor. But
what harmonic minor did you use?
D.
Yeah, D harmonic minor.
Yeah.
Like going into D minor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll still work. Like that'll still work. Like you might run into.
Well, the trouble I'm having is on descending diminished chord because it doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. If you had an E flat diminished 7,
You can spell out
into
part of the
the-
chord.
yeah, but the symmetrical diminished scale has so many tensions in it that in a very mellow tune, all of a sudden it stands out and it really doesn't fit into the context of the tune. So, besides the few little bags of licks that I've worked out myself, I was just wondering if you had.
I usually use that diminished scale. Like what do you call it? Yeah.
Maybe it's I don't know how to use it and make it.
Let's see. I would look like the symmetric one, but you don't have to play the whole scale against the chord. Like say if you're just going 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's like you don't have to use the whole scale because there's 8 notes in it. You can just play 1 or 2 notes, or 3 or 4, or something. Just as long as you like if you really know the scale well enough, you can usually hear a note in there someplace that's going to sound good. Like like say I'm going. Say going. Well, the way I think of a diminished chord, I never think of it as a straight diminished. I always think of it as a 7th chord with a flat 9. So like if you're playing a C sharp diminished to like a D minor, well I think of that as like A7 flat 9 instead. So I think of it as an A7 like flat 9 chord, but I still use a diminished scale against it. Well, I usually stick to that scale. Like I stick to the scale. Like I use a lot of, I put myself through a lot of discipline when it comes to playing chords. I usually have a scale that fits each chord. Like if I'm going like this, then like that. Each chord has a definite scale that fits it, depending on how you invert the chord, or like if you alter the chord, then I alter the scale. Like if I'm going to play an E7 with a sharp 9 on it, well, I have to alter that E look like scale to fit that chord.
But do you think of it as like I don't think in terms of scales. I think in terms of the key I'm in and the notes that are changing. Stand out in my mind, and the rest of the notes are for whatever key area that I happen to be in.
Well, that's all right to think that way too.
But you
Well,
think
I
of
just
the
like
scale of each
Well, I
one?
started thinking modal a few years ago. Like, you know, when Miles Davis came out with that album called Kind of Blue, with like So What on it, and all them tunes like those kind of tunes. This is G7. And, well, that's all modal to me. And you're limited to just that one scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're playing, look like right inside that mode, like mixolydian. So if I'm playing a standard tune and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, well, I'll make that the mixolydian, and I stick to it, or I'll play another mode against it, probably maybe a blues scale, little like 5-note scale. But right now I'm playing like mostly with modes, you know. Like sometimes I'll like leave the mode and like play look like freer, but that's mostly sort of in a McCoy Tyner type tune, or a John Coltrane type thing, where I don't think in modes. Like I think in modes, but like more free, man. Like if I want to go like this, like here's an E minor type position I use. Well, if I want to raise that up a half tone, that's actually a discord. But I'll do it for just the tension, you know. But I tend to think in modes, you know, instead of thinking just melody and like improvising that way. Well, I used to play that way, but I wanted to find something that I could be more sure of, like something that I knew was going to be all right. Pattern like, say I'm playing an E minor, I'll just play, you know, I might go up one fret and skip another one, up a half tone, tone, so I'm going. But to actually manualize, to explain that, it's a pattern. That's a different thing than like playing against, you know, like one chord and another chord. You know, it ain't like the bebop thing. It's different.
How would you approach playing a tune that maybe like 2 chords a bar, and it's going? It's a fast tune, and every chord's going to take a different scale.
Well,
instead of like seeing a bunch of chords in the same key center.
Okay, well, say you're playing like you're playing a chord. I mean, like a tune that's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
More change than like going to like.
You mean like 1, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Like a giant steps, but like a fast.
Oh, you mean like
something that's really, you know, that it's very different.
Okay, very hard to do
you
and
rely
keep
on
a
your
line going. Yeah, I rely on the ear to a certain extent. Yeah, for sure. But like I'm using modes, right? So you try and hook the modes together in a line. And the idea is not to start on the root of each mode. Mm-hmm. Like you don't go root and then root. Man, look like otherwise you'd be going root, run, root, run, root, run, root, run. Yeah. And that means you got to keep jumping from root to root. So the idea is to be able to hook up like wherever you end off in the first chord. Like those are 8th notes. 1, 2, 3, no, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm in this chord. So I ended on this note.
Different mode.
Now I'm going to go to the different mode, but it might not be the root. Like it might be the 5, it might be the 3. But look like whatever note is the closest to the note you just played. Like go to it and think of what note that is in relation to the next chord. So look, see if you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you're here. So you ended on this note. So this is the 13th of this. So you have to realize that that's the 13th, and then start playing the other mode. Then you're in here. So I ended here, sort of. So I know I'm on the 7th of this chord. So like instead of going, you know, and run. So that's what I try and do. It's like, but just do that when you're practicing. Because to do that while you're playing, you know, like if you're playing a job and you start thinking like that, you're not going to be able to think of it, you know, because you drive yourself crazy. But when you practice at home, practice slow and try and hook them that way. That's what I did. And I'm still trying. Yeah, especially in giant steps. Yeah.
Could you play it standard and show how the chords, or talk about how the chords relate to the original changes, the chords you play?
Like I use the flat 5 system a lot. You know, like if I'm going E minor 7th, A 7th, D minor 7th, G 7th. You know, like if I'm doing that, and I want to change the chords around, well, instead of playing an E chord, well, I think of the flat 5 of that key. Like, what's the flat 5 of E?
B flat.
Okay, so I play a B flat chord first. Though, like, even if the bass player is playing an A, I still play the B flat chord against the A. And then when I get to the A chord, now what's the flat 5 of that?
E flat.
Okay, so I see what I'm doing? So I'm going, look like instead of E, I'm going.
Yeah.
And then instead of playing the D chord, I play the flat 5 of that too. You know, which is an A flat chord. And then instead of playing a G, I play a D flat. You know.
So when you're saying for chord substitution, you're just taking the flat 5 of the chord.
Look like the flat 5 of that key you're in.
That key, okay.
And it's usually a dominant 7th chord. You know, like if you're playing an E 7th, A 7th, so you go like B flat 7th, like A, so you're going flat 5, flat 5, flat 5. And those are the substitutes, you know. So sometimes I'll just use the substitutes and play them a whole bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And that's the only rule I use for
Substitutes for minor chords then?
substitutes for minor chords. It's pretty hard to substitute a minor chord unless you change the melody note, you know. Because if you're going and you want to substitute it, you go, because if this is the melody and you go, are you going to run into a...
Maybe you could play the new minor chord before the flat 5 that you're coming to.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like I play both sometimes. I'll play minor, and then the substitute I'll go, and then I'll play the A, and then the substitute D minor, A flat, G, then the substitute, by 2 beats each. I use them both all the time, and then it gives you, you know, like a wide variety of sounds. Yeah, you helped me out there. I was trying to think of that, and I couldn't quite put it in the words.
Well, if the melody works out, you can even play the minor chord of the substitution, not the original minor chord.
But the flat 5 minor chord. Let me see how that works.
2 of the flat 5.
It's a little strange, but
But to throw it in during one of the progressions, that would be a nice addition.
it's a little strange, you know. Like you know, like you can make it work. You know? Like here's another thing I do. Like instead of going like E minor 7th and go to the flat 5 and making it a dominant 7th, I make it a major 7th. Yeah, look like instead of going like A 7th to an E flat 7th. E flat 7 is a flat 5, but I make it an E flat major 7th instead. I'm going.
Make the substitution a major.
Yeah, make that a major 7th. Make that a major 7th chord instead of a dominant 7th. Yeah, it's kind of strange because you're going.
So it takes you out. It lifts you.
Yeah. Man, like instead of going G to a D flat 9, well, I'll make it a major 9. And look, I still let the bass player play G. Then you get your C. You know, so that's another way to get around substitutions. Sometimes I'll make them all major 7ths. You know, like instead of going like E minor 7th, A 7th, E minor 7th, E 7th, C, I'll make it like an E. Oh yeah, right. Look, it's like an E root, and you play a B flat major 7th against it. It's now, you know, this is a strange way of doing it, but it works. And then when you go to the A chord, you know, it's usually an A 7th, so you're going to play the E flat chord. So you make it an E flat major 7th against an A root. So you're going, I'm sorry, E, right? Then you're in C. But that really takes it, you know, it takes it away from you. But I'm still using all those old roots. You know, I'm still using the classical form. You know, so I'm still like tied down to certain patterns. It's not like completely free, but trying to find the freedom like within the structure. You know?
Well, I guess we have to call it an afternoon, I guess.
Gee, I'd like to come up against.
Arrange for another one, I'm sure, and I'll keep you gentlemen posted. And thank you everyone for coming. Very nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh.